Hello, welcome everyone. We're going to be visiting the main monuments in Paris City. Primarily, number one, the Louvre. You've all heard of the Louvre for its amazing art installations, including the ever famous Mona Lisa. Now, we're going to explore the Mona Lisa, but not only that, we're going to explore way more of all the art installations, take you on a tour of the Notre-Dame, explaining on its significance and what everyone does while they're at the Notre Dame. So if you're ready to get on this journey in this video, please give us a subscribe and hit that like button, and let's get to the Louvre. When you think of the Louvre, there's probably one thing that immediately comes to your mind: the Mona Lisa. And if you're visiting Paris, chances are you're not going to be the only one to come see it. The Louvre is home to one of the most famous paintings in the world, and every day crowds of visitors make their way to see it. In fact, the Mona Lisa is one of the biggest reasons, so if seeing it as the top of your list, you may want to head there early. But before we make our way through the crowds, let's talk about how incredible and overwhelming this museum actually is. The Louvre is not just a museum, it was originally built as a fortress before it became a royal palace. Then, in 1793, during the French Revolution, it officially opened up as a public museum for the first time. Today, the Louvre is the largest art museum in the world and one of the most visited museums on the planet. It contains tens of thousands of works of art on display, spread across hundreds of rooms and multiple wings on different floors. And that's why visiting the Louvre can be a little bit intimidating. You could spend pretty much the entire day here and still only see a fraction of what it has to offer. So, unless you're planning on setting up a sleeping bag somewhere, trying to see everything in one visit is probably not the best strategy. For us, we had a priority set out to visit the Mona Lisa. Now, here's something you should know before your visit. The Mona Lisa is much smaller than most people imagine. After seeing the painting reproduced in textbooks, billboards, advertisements, and everywhere, you might think it is a massive work of art, but it is simply not. When you finally get into the room, the first thing you notice is the crowd. The tons of people that are standing there to witness the Mona Lisa cannot be understated. Depending on when you visit, getting close can feel less like a peaceful museum experience and more like trying to navigate a traffic jam. But somehow, even after all the hype, it's pretty surreal to see it right there in person. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa in the early 16th century, and centuries later, people are still fascinated by her mysterious expression. Is she smiling? Is she not? Does her expression change depending on where you stand? That mystery is part of what has made this painting so famous. And once you had your Mona Lisa moment, hopefully you manage to get some other art pieces while you're there, because the Louvre is absolutely enormous. And the building itself is simply just part of the experience. Walking through the Louvre, you're surrounded by the history of what once was a royal palace. The grand halls, the detailed ceilings and staircases all lead up to this magnificent gift of the Louvre. Outside, you have the iconic glass pyramid, one of the most recognizable landmarks. And honestly, with a museum this big, getting lost might just be part of the itinerary. After taking in thousands of years of history and surviving the crowds around the Mona Lisa, we were ready to continue exploring the rest of Paris. After exploring the Louvre, we're heading to one of the most iconic landmarks in all of Paris, the Notre-Dame Cathedral. Standing on the Ile de la Cité, right in the heart of the city, the Notre Dame has watched over Paris for centuries. Construction began very early on in 1163, and it took nearly 200 years to complete it. Just think about it. A cathedral was already standing here hundreds of years before many of the landmarks we know today even existed. And when you see it in person, it's easy to understand why the Notre-Dame is considered one of the greatest examples of the French Gothic architecture. The outside tells a story. The massive towers, the intricate stone carvings, the pointed arches, and the famous gargoyles make it feel almost like you stepped onto the set of a medieval movie. But Notre Dame is more than just a beautiful building. It has such a rich history. Kings and emperors have passed through these doors, major religious events have taken place here, and for generations, the Notre Dame has been one of the most recognizable symbols of Paris. Then in 2019, the world watched in shock as a devastating fire tore through the cathedral. The fire destroyed the roof and caused the iconic spire to collapse. For many people in Paris, it felt like watching a piece of history disappear. But the story of Notre Dame didn't end there. After years of restoration work, the cathedral reopened, bringing this historic landmark back to life. As you get closer to the cathedral, you can really appreciate the level of detail in the architecture. Every sculpture, doorway, and stone carving feels like it has been carefully designed to tell part of a much larger story. After everything this cathedral has been through, seeing it standing here once again feels even more meaningful. Next, let's continue on to explore the Sainte-Chapelle and its beautifully stained glass. Just a short walk from Notre Dame, we're visiting one of Paris's most breathtaking hidden gems, the Sainte-Chapelle. From the outside, it may not look as massive as some of Paris's other famous churches, but once you step inside, the real wow factor begins. Built in the 13th century by King Louis, Sainte-Chapelle was originally constructed to house important Christian relics. The highlight is the upper chapel, where towering stained glass windows surround you from almost every direction. These incredible windows tell biblical stories through more than 1,000 scenes, and when the sunlight shines through them, the entire chapel seems to glow. It honestly is one of my favorite places in all of Paris, so you must check this out when you visit. And that concludes day 2 of our Paris itinerary. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.